So I guess what I wanted to bring to this was, again, we're going back to that talk of tech. It's all tech, digital this. And yeah, as we said, it's a really important point of everything that we're doing in today's modern world. And we've talked about why that needs to be different. But I just wonder if it's easier to talk about tech and digital because it's more tangible. It doesn't really need to involve a level of emotional intelligence or empathy or feeling. And I just wonder if it's easier because we don't really like talking about feelings. I think it's hard, and I think sometimes my view is that there's a practice of being a better leader and being led by you as a human and leading other humans. And it's easy to focus on a thing, and often we talk about when we're developing technology and implementing it. It's something that you can pay for, and it goes on a spreadsheet, and we can capitalize on it, and we can understand the return on investment on it. It's easier to do that rather than working out how you put people on a spreadsheet. So yeah, is the reason we focus on the tech is because it's simpler in that guise?
Yeah, I would say so. Instinctively, there's something easier about it's just the binary control of developing software and products, and it does what you want it to do. It is easier to actually be creative and build that linear pathway. Even on the when you think about what technologists do, it is a very, very creative process, but it is something that they can build and be clear about the direction they want to take it in. Whereas human beings are so complex, and you never quite know. Well, you don't know yourself, do you? How are you going to be feeling day in, day out? Within a half-hour period of time, things can shift massively. And that uncertainty is the thing that drives the concern with change and emotion, because back to where we started, we all like to work in an efficient state, and we all like to understand what we've got to get our heads around. And when change comes in, sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's unsettling. And that is really difficult for human beings generally to get their heads around. So unless we get better at understanding our emotions, and that our emotions are there for a reason and to serve us, and they're there to actually alert us to an opportunity or a change, then we can understand it better, and we can use our brains and make better choices about how we use this technology. And so it then is a help to us rather than
it's an enabler to the thing.
Exactly, and it can make our lives better.
And this is the thing for me with my experience is that it is an enabler, but it's how do you demonstrate that an enabler where it comes to or it kind of it supports that either colleague journey or the customer journey. It's an enabler, but how do you simplify some of those enabling factors, and really break it down? So then going back to what we talked about, creating community of people that are leading this and the psychological safety so we don't always have the answers, but yet we've got to deliver this thing. And we talk about, again, we go back to people deliver it, people consume it. How do you really break it down to it in a simple way so people get it and can understand that picture in their head around what are we doing and why we're doing it, and how is this going to enable that outcome that we want to achieve commercially within an organisation? And it's really trying to simplify that. And I think that's where people become daunted by we've got this big thing to do, we've got this big bit of tech to deliver, and we're going to have to recruit a massive team in which to get it over the line. And then the focus becomes on when are we getting it over the line, because when do we get the return on that investment? I think if we kind of try and chop that up a little bit, because there's always going to be a need to do that. And, businesses are they're there to make money at the end of the day. There's a commercial need for it. But they want to kind of bring people on a journey with them to deliver the right thing so they remain competitive, their customers want to work with them, their colleagues want to stay. So my experience is break it really down as simply as you can. I'll break it down as simply as you can. Small manageable chunks, build that trust, create the right environment, set short-term objectives, and understand, like smaller outcomes that collectively build that bigger picture. And that's where you start building that momentum. and you start seeing some of the successes. And we talk about this around, like agile practices or product management, but essentially it's like the method to be humans delivering this thing. And that's where my successes are. Like, Catherine, you've been coaching execs for many years, right? So how do they present their challenges or these type of challenges to you, and what is your advice that you give them? Is it any different, I guess?
No, because people are people. And if somebody really sits and looks at what needs to... human beings are brilliant.
Yeah.
We are brilliant problem solvers, and that's all this is. This is about saying, how do we get from here to here?
Yeah.
And how do we use this new piece of kit? And once somebody is properly engaged with that and thought about, this is what my role is, and this is how it's going to impact my life, and I'm motivated to do it, and as you say, you've chunked up, like, what do I need to do? How might I start doing this? And just not being afraid to just start and step into that and have the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's often what it is. It's often just all about this sort of initial, crikey, I can't imagine how this will be for me, and I haven't got the capacity to think about it. Once you put that aside, people are brilliant. We're so inventive. You look at how we approached the pandemic and how quickly, when we really have to solve things, we can come together and do it. We know we can do it.
Yeah.
But people have got to create an environment where it's possible to do it.
Yeah. So simplify it, chunk it up.
Have
I'll
the
link it to the bigger
conversations.
picture. Yeah. And figure out. Like, you've built and scaled a couple of businesses, helped other businesses do the same. Any lessons from you on that?
So, thinking about your question about technology and digital, I think there's been a really constant narrative, and it consistently is going to continue, about going faster. And it goes without saying, there is a lot of complexity with technology, and particularly now with the advent of AI. And as Catherine said, that human beings are incredible for being able to solve problems and work towards creating and building a better future. But this narrative about going faster, like, there's a question over, you need to go slow to go fast. And that I think exists with what you said earlier about asking, how are you? The reason that question doesn't get asked in my mind is because we've adopted this mentality of, and it goes back to the very start of the iOS question, we've adopted this mentality where we've almost started to mirror what technology is and become quite robotic in our being. So we have started to automate all of our engagement model with each other. So we'll start meetings with metrics and numbers and how are we doing and how's performance. And actually, the idea of go slow to go faster doesn't necessarily mean even over a long term of a whole life cycle of technology or a business, but even in a meeting sense, the idea that you might spend 5 to 10 minutes just on how are people, how are we showing up, how is everyone feeling, that go slow to go fast mentality, build that equity at the front. And it's the same with business for me. We're so obsessed now with scaling businesses. Everyone needs to be the next unicorn. Everyone needs to scale, exit, grow. Growth in itself is the sort of the thing. Grow, grow, grow. And in doing that, we're just constantly pushing, go faster, go more. There's always a stretch. And we're just, as I say, becoming more automated and losing our human connections and our ability to, and what we're losing, to my mind, is creativity, innovation, problem solving, teamwork, all of the things that make work great, make companies great. So yes, technology, amazing, without question. But we need to slow back down a bit and start to understand each other. If we spent as much time on that as we do the technology, I think, who knows, we can solve a lot of, hopefully, what the challenges are in society, whether that's socioeconomic or climate or any of those.
Yeah.
So love business, but I think it's got to be about the people.
100%.